The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Everybody, so welcome to another episode of I Had to Say. We're going to start out as we do by saying to Josh, Iceman, Jason Massaran, Mike, Heavy, Javier, Fitz McShane, El Heavy, El Devlin, El Morte, the guys at the Weather Report, to Billy G, and to Walt from the Be Raw podcast. Thank you guys for your continued support. You are the wind beneath my... I don't know, I don't really have wings. You know what I mean. You guys are awesome. Thanks. So anyway, we're into another week. We're down to like 23 days until the election. I'm so ready for this shit just to be over with. In part because I'm sick of everywhere I look being political rhetoric, in part because I just want it to be done with. So I can find out if they're going to manage to game the system enough to put that worthless cackling harpy into the office, or if Trump is going to somehow pull out the W and manage to not get shot before January. Or, just to see what's going to happen. But mostly it's just because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of fucking people. I'm sick of the fucking elite trying to talk down to motherfuckers. I honestly don't understand how anyone with a modicum of self-respect can consider themselves a Democratic voter these days. I mean, we've pretty much established, any of the longtime listeners, that by today's standards, I'm a far-right nut job because I basically want to be left the fuck alone. I want to keep my paycheck. I don't want illegals in my country. I want people to come here legally, do it the right way. I want people to be vetted before they're allowed in my country. And I don't want to pay for lazy motherfuckers to have a better life than I have. I don't think we should be just funding everything in the fucking world. I don't think we should be funding world wars. I don't think we should be funding both sides of conflicts all around the fucking globe. I don't think we should be paying to rebuild countries that are destroyed by weapons that we paid for in conflicts we have no interest being involved in, other than the fact that the war machine needs to be fed and the fucking politicians and the parasites in D.C. need to find some way to justify their worthless fucking existence. And if that makes me a right-wing nut job, so be it. I also think that, I didn't have a problem with the gays wanting to get married and have all the same rights as everybody else. I'm very much the Gen X, people came up to me like, hey, I'm gay, and I'd be like, I don't fucking care, and they'd be like, awesome, you accept me. Not the hey, I'm gay, and I say, I don't fucking care, and they're like, oh my God, you're a phobe, you're a bigot, you're an ist, you're an enabler, you're a, retarded fucking leftist noises. But ultimately, it's coming down to the media arm of the fucking government and the establishment is really grasping at straws. They've come to realize they overplayed their fucking hand. I mean, the conspiracy theorists and the at this point, just the people who pay attention are out here talking about how the deep state overplayed their hand. And they really did. The fucking establishment overplayed its fucking hand. They completely eliminated any semblance of democracy from the democratic process for this presidential election. They placed a candidate who was utterly unlikable because they were so convinced the fix was in that they could just do no wrong, and they were going to win regardless of what the fuck happened because they honestly have that low an opinion of the fucking American population. And who knows, maybe if they would have had a little more patience and waited another 8 years or 4 years even, they would have been right because people would have been able to be placated and another generation of dumb motherfuckers would have made that minimum age to vote. But they're trying to ramrod their fucking agenda down everybody's fucking throat and, establish their one world government or whatever the fucking motivation behind this just elitist cadre of horse shit that we're being fed is. And they pulled the trigger too soon. There's enough people out there that aren't happy with it. There's enough people that are starting to stand up and they're losing all of their traditional stronghold bases. They have lost the black vote. They have lost the Latino vote. They have lost a huge portion of the fucking, like, well, black and Latino men in particular, but even a lot of the women are fed up. The people, American people, are tired of being fucking third-class citizens behind fucking illegals and parasites. So ultimately, it's really everything that's being pushed through in this bullshit narrative, and everything they've done to try and rig the game, everything they've done from whether it's deliberate or just incompetent handling of disasters between Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene that have just utterly decimated the East Coast. Curiously enough, and I'm not one of those people who thinks the weather is being manipulated. I mean, we obviously have a certain extent of an ability to manipulate the weather, but do I think they can generate and steer fucking hurricanes? No, I really don't. But they, coincidentally enough, have gone through strong red areas where a lot of Trump strongholds are based. And in Florida, it's not as much of a deal because DeSantis is pretty much on his shit. He's not letting the federal government come in and fuck things up. He says, Florida will handle these responses. You send us the aid and we'll tell you where it's going to go and how it's going to fucking work, which is exactly what needs to be done. But on the other hand, North Carolina and the Appalachian areas where all the destruction and just chaos has been going on, where FEMA is trying to claim all kinds of shit to justify their fucking worthless incompetence. You have the governor of North Carolina, who is a Democrat and an utterly worthless sack of shit based on his response to his people being decimated by a natural disaster. He's not really coordinating anything. He's just, belly up, throat up to the fucking federal government. FEMA is coming in, massive reports of them seizing donated assets and seizing funds and stopping people from going into areas to do civilian acts to rescue because they're saying it's going to interfere with their coordinated efforts. Meanwhile, they are not doing fuck all for the people. They are dumping supplies where people don't even know they're there. And this has happened previously with other disasters, so it's not like this is an unprecedented act. This is just the way this worthless fucking parasitic entity does things. And then, they're releasing statements like, oh, well, we're being threatened by civilian militia members who are telling us to get the fuck out of here, and they're stopping us from doing anything to help. And that whole claim, I mean, it hasn't been too thoroughly researched, but it looks like it's being based on one fucking guy who was like, get the fuck out of here or I'm going to put a fucking bullet in your ass. And that somehow translated into the media reporting truckloads of militia members going around threatening FEMA agents. Meanwhile, all the people who are on the ground in the area of utter devastation have reported seeing fuck all in terms of federal government doing anything useful, or even remotely fucking useful. So, it's utterly ridiculous in a lot of ways. And the left is, swinging hard and missing. And Kamaltow keeps going on different platforms, different TV shows, different talk shows, trying to give interviews, and every time she does it, it's just revealed how utterly fucking useless and incompetent this worthless cunt actually is. And there is nothing good that will come from her getting any kind of power. She needs to have her 15 minutes up and over with and fucking done and go the fuck away. She can't handle softball interviews with scripted answers that are edited and chopped and put out. She went on 60 Minutes with it wound up getting 20 minutes of usable footage. The raw footage got out, too, and it just basically shows that 60 Minutes, a formerly esteemed news program, went through and edited her answers and chopped them up so they try and put a semblance of something coherent together of answering questions, and she still came off, even with the edits, sounding like a fucking idiot. And that's what they're working with. And then they got fucking Obama's bitch ass who's... I'm particularly offended by that worthless motherfucker because for whatever reason, when I was young and stupid, I kind of bought into the hype. I had a little bit of hope where I was like, this guy's not like these geriatric fucks. He's a younger guy. Maybe he'll bring something new to the table. And he was nothing but a massive commie disappointment. I regret that I ever voted for the fucking prick, and I'll never do it again. I'll tell you that. But anyway, yeah, so he's out here trying to shame black men into voting for Kamala Harris, saying that she's there, the fact that she's not getting support from the brothers and da-da-da-da-da. It's like this bitch still is trying to push the whole, like, she's not black. I don't care how many times these motherfuckers try and spin it. Just because she says she is. I mean, if that's the case, Rachel Dolezal has as much right to claim it as she does. But they're getting just more and more desperate. They're trying to reclaim these things that they lost due to their own fucking incompetence and through nobody's fault except their fucking own. It's not conspiracies. It's not false narratives. It's not misinformations. It's the utter failures of their policies, principles, and beliefs. It's the fact that they prioritized everything except the people they actually needed, and now they're fucking stuck eating crow. And you've got the Harris Walz campaign somehow trying to sell fucking Tim Walz as a bastion of masculinity, and they're trying to say that Kamaltow's fucking husband is redefining masculinity for the new age, and they're just two of the most soy-fed, beta-closeted motherfuckers on the fucking planet. Tim Walz goes out trying to have a, like, look how manly I am, going pheasant hunting thing, just utterly embarrasses himself, doesn't fire a shot, brings along a press troop, looks like the FUD meme, can't work his fucking shotgun, can't get it properly loaded, and it's a shotgun that in a lot of places that have strict gun control laws, normal people like you and me wouldn't be able to have. The shotgun Tim Walz was taking on his pheasant hunt that he failed to functionally operate is illegal in the state of Illinois. It's just utterly fucking ridiculous, but I digress. That's a whole different tear. The thing about it is the left is somehow trying to redefine masculinity and try to at the same time capitalize and try and woo back the male audience they have fucking lost, because basically, I mean, with obvious exceptions, guys are not fucking retarded. I mean, some of us are. Some of us don't have enough blood. Well, I mean, most of us don't have enough blood to operate our dicks in our heads at the same time, so we make a lot of stupid, poorly informed decisions, and we let a lot of dumb things happen. But you can only spend so long telling a certain group of people they're the bad guys, they're what's wrong with the world, there's what's wrong with society, they're what's wrong with everything. They are the villain, they are the bad guy, woo, 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 all the problems are them, before they're going to say, you know what, fuck you, I'm done with you. With the exception of all the soy-fed beta cucks that are still thinking that, you know, going along and saying whatever it is they want to say is somehow going to get them into some of that absolutely wretched leftist pussy that they've been missing their entire lives. And they're like, oh, if I tell her what she wants to hear, she might give me some sympathy, boob, or whatever other weak-minded shit these simple fucks are trying to. I mean, if you look at the men on the left, there's not a whole lot of masculinity involved there. And they're trying to say, oh, well, no, we're redefining we're taking the toxicity out of masculinity. No, you're taking the masculinity out of masculinity. And toxic masculinity isn't toxic. People are toxic. Individuals are toxic. Masculinity is not toxic in and of itself. So trying to redefine it, trying to reclaim it, and trying to say things about masculinity without having any actual structural functioning knowledge of how masculinity actually works, and when all the things that actually define masculinity are the things you stand against and rail against, no, men don't want to fucking be associated with something that's going to tell them they're fucking shitty. Men don't want to be around, and that's not just men, but I'm saying in this particular instance, that's people in general. People don't want to be told how fucking rotten and awful they are if they're functional, normal, healthy adults. That's one of the reasons why I'm, really in this camp that the woke leftist mentality is a fucking mental illness and should be treated as such. We need to renormalize fucking bringing back mental institutions for people that can't function in society instead of validating and telling them they're okay. And telling them they're right and they need to be celebrated and honored and cherished for their fucking quirks and their quandaries and their little idiosyncrasies that just make them so unique and special and wonderful. But unique, special, and wonderful don't mean you're fucking useful, and that's something these assholes seem to forget. They want to be cherished and celebrated and lauded for their unique characteristics, and their unique characteristics don't bring anything of fucking value to the table, and these worthless sacks of shit are trying to redefine what it means to be a man and what it means to be of worth and value, and trying to redefine value because under the traditional sense of things, things that actually work in the real fucking world, they hold none. And they're not a significant enough number where they carry the weight, where they can legitimize their own failings and shortcomings. They're just the most vocal and the most noisy and the biggest fucking mouth in the room. And the thing is, all the silent majority who are getting fed up with being silent, and a lot of them are just fucking walking away. And these assholes have started to realize they cannot function without it. They cannot win without it. They cannot succeed. They're not going to be able to sell the steel when they have lost such a massive amount of people that they need to push the narrative through. When they're losing the minority vote, when they're losing the male vote pretty much across the fucking board. And so they start putting out these cringy-ass commercials and these stupid fucking sound bites trying to woo men back to the fold. And the Harris campaign put together this utterly horrific fucking commercial. And it's all these guys. And if you look at them, oh, well, I'm a man enough to do this and I'm a man enough to do that. And you get all these just fucking cringy, mouth-breathing, like, oh, I'm man enough to rebuild a carburetor, and I eat carburetors for breakfast. And this fat motherfucker, that's the only thing in the entire commercial, I believe, is this son of a bitch probably would try to eat a carburetor. Not that he could pick one out if you put a fucking lineup of car parts in front of him. I guarantee that. Because this commercial, literally, they couldn't find actual manly men to testimonial that they were going to vote for Harris Walls. So they hired a bunch of fucking failed actors out of fucking Los Angeles. And not a single thing any one of them said in the ads were true because, they had a guy talking about, I'm man enough to deadlift 500 pounds and then braid the shit out of my daughter's hair. It was a fucking gay dude that doesn't have a daughter. Not that if you happen to be gay and you want to adopt, good on you. Get some kid out of a shitty situation where they don't have parents. You want to be kind, loving parents as long as you're not one of those groomer, creepy fucks who adopts a couple of kids and then has all your friends come over and fuck them. Hey, if you're just a person who actually cares and wants to give somebody a loving, caring, nurturing home, I don't care. Feel free. Make the world a better place. Raise a better kid. You and your life partner, you get together and you raise the best little fucking human being you can. As long as you're not trying to force your ideologies onto them, other than the standard parental shit of trying to teach your kid not to be a shitty human being. But, as long as you're not out there like, well, since you're our kid, you're going to be gay or you're going to be trans or any of that other horse shit. No, you let the kids grow and develop naturally and let them figure out who they are, let them find themselves and their own identities, within reason. I mean, obviously, if you're one of those parents who says, well, my kid said they found their true self and they identify as a fucking toaster. Well, you know what? Lick the kid's fingers and jam it into an outlet and see how that fucking works out, you stupid mouth-breathing fuck. There's a difference between being supportive and being fucking retarded. That's something we seem to have forgotten culturally these days, and we need to get back to remembering. No, something is just fucking stupid. And when something is fucking stupid, you call out fucking stupid. You don't go, well, aren't you just a creative and beautiful, unique little sunshine? You go ahead and you be the best fucking toaster you can, because I guarantee no matter how much bread you shove in that kid, all you're going to get out is shit, not toast. So, where was I going? Oh, yeah, so to address that, the fake men for Walls and Harris are about as authentic as you would expect, and they're still pushing celebrity endorsements and all this other horse shit. And it's gotten to the point where basically anytime I hear a celebrity come out and endorse Walls Harris campaign, I assume they're on the Epstein flight logs at this point, because it's either that or it's, if Trump gets elected, I'm gonna leave the country. How would you feel about that? Fucking good. The number of cunts that said that the last time he was running for president that are still here tells me you're full of shit. I don't care. I don't give a shit about celebrities. I don't value celebrity opinions. Your job is to entertain me, you clapping fucking monkey. It's not to tell me how to think or how to fucking feel or how to fucking act. Your job is to be entertaining and distract me from the shit that I have to go through in my day-to-day life because I didn't get a fucking lucky break and I didn't have the fucking body that somebody wanted to pay to see me on screen, so I didn't catch a fucking break where all of a sudden I get millions of dollars for pretending to be something I'm not. I have to go out there and actually be what I am and catch a meager fucking paycheck for it. Where, with the economy being in the shitter, with the federal government inflating away our net worth and spending us into generations of fucking debt, my should be a decent living is still a check to check scenario. And I'm like, I'm not looking for sympathy when I say that. I'm not trying to get anybody feeling sorry for me. I'm stating something that is a fact for Americans across the country. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of us are in the same fucking boat. I'm making as good a money as I've made pretty much ever in my career, and I'm still fucking check to checking it because it doesn't matter how much I seem to make, it's always not quite enough because all of a sudden my money has less buying power, and it's worth less than it was a year ago. It's worth less than it was 6 months ago. It's worth less than it was 2 weeks ago. And meanwhile, the fucking dumb shit keeps happening. Things keep happening. Shit keeps getting worse, and we still haven't dragged them out and tarred them and feathered them yet, so we're stuck here dealing with the result of it, trying to do things the right way, trying to do things the calm way, trying to do things in a way that will somehow maintain some semblance of civility and the civilization our country was founded to be. Howsoever, since our country has morphed into the exact thing that the Founding Fathers warned us about, it's kind of one of those situations, are we really going to be able to vote our way out of it? I mean, all the top left political figures at this point are basically saying if Trump wins, they're not going to certify the election. They're literally going to do the exact same thing they tried to accuse him and his supporters of doing, and they've come right out and said it. And we've got people like that prick Jamie Raskin, who honestly should be under a fucking prison somewhere. He should not be sitting in a fucking cushy office. That worthless and just fucking traitorous piece of shit should be in prison. And he's come right out and said, oh, well, basically there's going to be a civil war if Trump wins, and we're not going to certify his victory, and it's going to be a civil war, and we're prepared for that. And it was spoken with all the smug tone of a bastard who knows that he's not going to be held accountable for the words coming out of his mouth. His decision is going to send hundreds and thousands of other people off to their fucking deaths, and he's perfectly fine with that. In the name of maintaining the fucking illicit power he holds, he's more than willing to send your average motherfuckers out to die in his behalf. And people don't seem to have a problem with that. The fucking morons that are Democrat supporters at this point take no issue whatsoever with being treated like such a worthless piece of flotsam that exists to somehow hold these people up to their standards of living when they were supposed to be serving us, not the other fucking way around. We're not supposed to exist for their convenience. They're supposed to exist for our safety and security, not to tell us how to live, not to fucking rule over us, not to give us fucking orders and issue fucking statements and summons and anything else, but to be servants of the people. And they're fucking not. The system's broken. The system needs to be reset. And honestly, as much as I hate to say, it's like I spent so much time bad-mouthing Donald Trump over the last fucking, well, up until today, basically. I bad-mouthed him before he got into politics because I thought he was just a fucking schmuck for having The Apprentice and trying to slap his name on everything he fucking did. And maybe that egomaniacal horseshit is one of the reasons he's a successful businessman. That takes a certain mentality to be a successful business person in a lot of ways. Not always. I mean, there's always exceptions to every rule. There are decent fucking successful businessmen out there, but a lot of them are egomaniacs. A lot of them are fucking sociopaths. A lot of them don't identify well with humanity, and that's what makes them successful business people. But this guy, I mean, to be fair, he's growing on me. I'm still not a huge fan. I'm still going to make fun of his pigmentation and his fucking hairdo and everything else, but you got to respect a guy who gets shot in the head and gets back up and starts pumping his fist in the air yelling fight. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of not just politicians, but a lot of average motherfuckers, you get shot, you don't know what you're going to do, but it's not going to get back up and start trying to rally the crowd. I mean, the motherfucker is built different, and he's committed. That's the other thing that I begrudgingly respect the fucking man, because they're literally, I mean, he said it, and I hate to say it, but it's probably the truth at this point, is they're not really after him. They're after all of us. He's just in the fucking way. And I hate to be sitting here spouting Trumpisms and sounding like I'm, just totally gung-ho pro-Trump. And I said it before he got elected the first time. I have no problem prioritizing this country over the rest of the fucking world. So technically, I suppose that would make me a MAGA individual, but I'm really not a MAGA individual. I'm an America First individual. I don't think we're in any kind of position to be policing and financing the rest of the fucking world while our own country is falling apart. Our own citizens are dying, starving, missing, lost in fucking natural disasters, dealing with fucking having their lives and their property and everything around them threatened, stolen, fucking damaged, begrudged, and because we have a massive influx of illegal aliens, we have criminals, domestic and foreign-born, who are all here with zero fear of repercussion for their actions, walking around terrorizing the average motherfucker who just wants to live their life to the best of their ability. And then you got a bunch of shiftless, worthless, soulless fucking pieces of shit who are out there preying upon just your average motherfuckers. People who, and I hate to say it, but it's just this herd mentality, all these weak, sheep-minded motherfuckers, because there are people out there. There are goats among the fucking sheep. There are people who you may not realize it just looking at them because you're some fucking whacked out foreign-born thug or some whacked out domestic-born thug who sees everybody and everything as a fucking potential target. But there's a lot of people out there, and I think the number is growing. Is just statistically looking at things, I think the number is growing where it's becoming more of a case of fuck around and find out. I'll tell you one thing. If you come up to me and you try and rob me with the machete, you're not fucking going home to mama with my fucking wallet. I'll deal. I carry insurance for a reason. If you try and threaten my life or anything I've worked for at this point, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you don't see the sunrise. And it's not about, at this point, just running somebody off or scaring somebody. Ooh, you overreacted. They were just trying to, rob you. You didn't have to kill them. No, fuck that. Fuck you if you feel that way, and fuck two motherfuckers that look just like you. Fuck your parents for raising a fucking weak-minded, spineless, worthless, jelly-filled sack of shit. Fuck everyone who told you were good enough, smart enough, and people liked you. Fuck everybody who gave you some false sense of fucking empathy where you somehow think that people that are doing shitty things, it's really not their fault that they're shitty human beings and they deserve tolerance and forgiveness. No, fuck that. It's not a matter of like, oh, well, Jesus said turn the other cheek or any of that other horse shit that people are going to try and point to. First off, don't try and sell that shit to me because I gave up on Christianity decades ago. It's a flawed system. It's corrupt. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good ideas behind it. And if they happen to be right, I'll argue my case when I stand before judgment. But realistically, I don't identify as a Christian, so that, well, Jesus said shit carries no weight with me. If that's how you want to live your life and you want to be a decent person because you believe in God and hell and all that other horse shit, more power to you. I hope you live a good life. I hope it works out for you. I hope you get your just rewards in the future. I mean, do I believe in a higher power? Yes, I do. Do I think it was some fucking white guy in a fucking dashiki in the fucking Middle East? No, I don't think any of the interpretations that exist right now are accurate. I think it's all been washed through the eyes of man, and it's all been corrupted over the tellings and retellings for the last 2,000 fucking years. I view religion with a jaded eye as I do with everything else. I view it as guidelines. I don't necessarily see it as hard and fast. This isn't, well, the Bible says X, Y, and Z. The Bible is a set of guidelines. Bible, and even when it was carved in stone, wasn't fucking absolute. It's every situation there's good, there's evil, there are fundamental truths. But there's a lot of fucking gray areas in there, like things like, oh, well, if your diet consists of X, Y, and Z, you're going to hell. No, that just was an interpretation of man. I really don't think that when I'm standing before my final judgment, my fucking diet's going to be the problem. There may be a lot of other things in there that'll be the problem, and we'll deal with that bridge when we come to it. But at the end of the day, I try and live the best life I can. I try to be good to other people. I try to do things for people, even when it doesn't necessarily benefit me directly in any real way, shape, or form, because at the end of the day, like most people, I am motivated by selfish drives, and it makes me feel good to do things for other people without any expectation of recompense or reimbursement. I mean, other than maybe a little karmic balance. I honestly, I've done some pretty horrific shit over the course of my life, and I try and balance that out by not being an absolute fucking scumbag. I still sleep pretty well at night because I don't sit around with huge moral quandaries over some of the more questionable things I might have done because, and it's not an excuse, it's not an apology, but it was, sometimes it was the lesser of two evils, sometimes it was doing a bad thing for a good reason, sometimes it was just I was young and fucking stupid. And now I'm old and fucking stupid. What do I know? That's one of the most solid foundations of wisdom I have is I don't know shit. I talk a lot. I have these random stream of thought, consciousness, ridiculous podcasts I put on. You guys seem to appreciate them, and I appreciate you guys for appreciating me. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all... We've got active forces trying to push humans against their better nature and turn them into just livestock. I don't know how else to put it. We have a cadre of global elites that think the general populace exists for their convenience and for their service and to keep them protected. And they have been treating humanity as such for probably time immemorial, and going back to, the elite classes that used to tell them, the mobs, they were ordained by whatever god they happen to believe in whatever section of the country or the world they happen to be coming up at the time. And those elite groups probably maintain some semblance of control, and they've been doing it for generations and eons, and they've gotten really good at it. But I think they're slipping too, because like I said, they seem to have overplayed their hand in a lot of ways. I don't think the American experiment was anything any of them ever planned on. And somewhere in our culture and in our collective psyche, I think the seeds of it still fucking rumble under there, because there's still a whole lot of patriots, as well, self-defined patriots that really believe in freedom and independence and liberty and personal responsibility and personal accountability and things like that. All the buzzwords that get thrown around that ultimately say, people, not a small group of elites, but people as a whole should be responsible for their own destiny and their own futures and their own lives. And it's realistically, it's not unattainable. But I think seeing any sweeping global changes is an unrealistic expectation. I think the only way to really get anything done is to try and do things on a local level. You start out small, organize with your get to know your neighbors, organize your local PTA meetings, school board meetings. Get involved in local politics where you can actually see the direct results of something, and then maybe start to try and inspire and lead and get involved with these things and make the world a slightly better place on a small scale. Because if we can really get back to that, start showing people that there's something to be said for doing the fucking work, instead of all these morons out here pushing the quick fix, easy, no effort involved, fucking instant gratification bullshit. Just try and make the world a little bit better, and do it without the expectation of receiving anything in return. Because if you can find a way to do that, you're going to be a lot more satisfied with your lot in life. I mean, not that I'm saying you should just go out there and be utterly altruistic. As I've said over and over again, you got to take care of yourself first. You need to take care of your health. You need to take care of your family. You need to take care of your mental state. You need to make sure all of your needs are being met first. To be a functional member of a functioning society, you have to initially be selfish without being greedy. That's what it really boils down to. You have to make sure your needs are met, because if your needs aren't being met, you're not able to function at your peak capacity. If you're not able to function at your peak capacity, you're realistically not doing anybody else any fucking good, because if you're just going through the fucking motions, you're really not providing much fucking value. And I guess that's where I'm going to put a pin in it for now. I've rambled enough. Go out, find the Harris Walls commercials, find the fucking footage of the cringy fucking men for Kamaltow. Find out what a fat motherfucker that eats carburetors for breakfast looks like. I can't imagine there's a lot of caloric value in a carburetor. It's mostly just pig iron and fucking oil. So I don't know what this greasy motherfucker's eating, but I guarantee it ain't car parts. It looks more like it's probably Krispy Kremes and fucking, 5 or 6 double stacks at a time. I mean, just disgusting. Utterly disgusting. They couldn't even get men to sit like men in this fucking commercial. Just mincing low T beta cuck motherfuckers. I mean, every one of these motherfuckers just screams out, I sit in that chair in the corner of the hotel room. And anyway, I guess for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show, buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.